Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about trichromatic theory of color vision. Trichromatic theory was founded by two major persons. They are Jung Helmholtz, and this theory states that human color perception results from the activity ratio of three types of cone receptors in the retina, each maximally sensitive to a different wavelength of a light. This theory was developed primarily by two scientists, as I said before. The theory is named in their combined honor, though the underlying physics, trichromacy of color, was also established independently by James Clerk Maxwell around the same time. So here in trichromatic theory, in psychology, in color vision, Thomas Young and Hermann von Helmholtz are honored. And Thomas Young, he is English physician. He proposed the theory in 1802. He postulated that eye must contain three types of receptors as all color could be created by mixing three primary colors of light. And Hermann von Helmholtz, what he did is, he is a German scientist, he refined this theory. He conducted color matching experiment that demonstrated participant required a minimum of three wavelengths of light to match any given test color. The major concept of this theory lies in this core principle, that is three classes of cone receptors, as you can see over here in this picture as well. So these three classes of cone receptors or photoreceptor cells are short wavelength cones, medium wavelength cones, and long wavelength cones. So short wavelength cones, they are as cones most sensitive to the blue light, and medium wavelength cones, that is M cones, they are most sensitive to the green light, and long wavelength cones, that is L cones, most sensitive to the red light, as you can see in the figure. Through their peak sensitivity is actually in the yellowish green range. So what are the three classes of cone photoreceptors? That is short wavelength cones, medium wavelength cones, and long wavelength cones. And short wavelength cones, they are sensitive to blue light, medium they are sensitive to green, and long wavelength they are sensitive to red. So we need to know the color perception mechanism. The perception of any color is determined by the relative pattern and strength of the activity across these three cone types. And how we can understand about the color perception is through this example. Yellow is perceived when L cones and M cones are stimulated strongly and S cones are stimulated weakly. That means how we are able to perceive yellow. We can perceive yellow at that moment when L cones and M cones are stimulated strongly, but at cones are stimulated weakly. Now, similar to that, white is perceived when all three cone types are stimulated approximately equally and intensely. So, we are able to perceive the color because of these three classes of cone photoreceptors, how they are stimulated, whether they are stimulated strongly or weakly. So, this theory perfectly explains additive color mixing, which is how light sources combines to produce color. Example in digital screens which use red, green and blue pixels. Color mix. As you can see over here, when red and blue color is mixed, we can get purple, and so on. When purple and white is mixed, we can get this lilac color. So what is the benefit of trichromatic theory? The major benefit of this theory is it helps in physiological validation. That means the existence of these three types of cone photoreceptor, that is S cone, M cone, and L cone in the human retina is containing a different photopigment has been definitely proven through modern microspectrophotometry and genetic studies. Next one is it explains color mixing. So it accurately models how various wavelengths of light combine to create the full spectrum of color, that is trichromacy. Also, it explains the color blindness. It successfully accounts for the most common forms of color blindness, that is protanopia, deuteranopia, or tritanopia, which results from a deficiency or total absence of one or more of three cone types. So, if you want to know about color blindness, there is already a video in this channel about the color vision and color blindness. You can see that video also. What are the limitations? It fails to explain the opponent colors. That is, the theory alone cannot exist why we never see the reddish green or bluish yellow. These colors are perceptually impossible, a phenomena better explained by opponent process theory. It cannot explain after images. It does not account for the phenomenon of negative after images, like when we perceive a red square for certain seconds and then look at the white walls, it produces a green after image. So why that is happening? Why there are after images after looking for certain color for few seconds? So it is unable to explain after images. Also, the processing behind the cones. The theory focuses only on the initial receptors level in the retina and does not explain the subsequent neural processing stages that organizes color information in opponent pairs. Like you can see in this figure also, we are talking about the RGP, that is red, green, blue. Here we are talking about the three classes of color photoreceptors, and we are also talking about the additive mixing of the light sources, but we fail to explain about other after images that can be subtractive mixing of absorbing pigments. So these are the references of trichromatic theory of color vision. If you want to know more about this topic, you can go through these links as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you want to know more about other topics, you can write in comment below. And if you like this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.